Please remain standing for the reading of the Gospel. Today we hear from the book of Matthew, chapter 28, verses 1 through 10. After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And suddenly, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descending from heaven came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing white as snow. For fear of him, the guards shook and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here. He has been raised, as he said. Come, look and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has been raised from the dead, and indeed he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him. This is my message for you." So they left the tomb quickly with great fear and joy and ran to tell the disciples. But suddenly, Jesus met them and said, "Greetings." And they came to him and took hold of his feet and worshiped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers and my sisters to go to Galilee. There they will see me." The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God.
The story of Easter morning is recounted in all four Gospels. But every Easter, it feels like to me that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are like a group of old friends who are sitting around annually reminiscing about a pivotal event that they shared decades ago gone by, and nobody can quite agree on the details. Everyone remembers things a little bit differently. Who was there and who wasn't? What happened and in what order? Who said what and who saw what? Each timeline is different. The cast of characters different. The way the events play out a little different. And a few things a lot different. But at the end of the day, they agree to disagree on whose memory is better or worse, who is right or wrong, and they just laugh and smile together because the lasting good news of the old story that they love to tell, the story that will be their theme in glory and our theme in glory too, still remains crystal clear today and true as it was 2,000 years ago. The tomb is empty. Christ is risen. Pain and death do not have the last or lasting word. Thanks be to God. And because neither the gospel writers nor the biblical compilers worried about reconciling their details or fact-checking their accounts against one another, I figure we don't need to worry about it either. The Bible is not a history book. It does not have journalistic standards it has to uphold to. The Bible holds spiritual truths that speak to the big questions and longings of life that humanity has been wrestling with and curious about for generations. So our curiosity today is perhaps best directed toward a question like, why does each gospel writer tell the story the way they tell it? To use a social media metaphor, each gospel writer is trying to make the Easter story sticky for their listeners. In the algorithms of social media, a post is sticky when its content or elements grab attention, increase engagement, and keep users on that story longer. If you stay and don't swipe past it, it's sticky. And it's extra sticky if it gets liked or shared or reposted. And the more that people engage with the post, the more people the post will reach, and the more influence the post will have, not just on the user the one time that they see that post, but because social media uses algorithms to learn our human behaviors, preferences, and patterns of engagement, if we engage with a post of a certain kind of content, our algorithm will feed us more of the same. If we don't like what we're seeing, we can change our behavior, we can change what we see or how we interpret what we see, and then that changes the information coming to us, and on it goes. You know this. So I want you to follow this metaphor with me this morning, will you? Whether you use social media or not, there is an algorithm that guides your life. There are repeated patterns of behavior from your childhood, theologies from your youth, nagging little things from the voice in your head that speaks to you, life experiences that lead you to either be a glass half full or glass half empty type of person. Whether we like it or not, we all have a certain kind of programming as humans that we become so accustomed to in our life that we don't even know it's our underlying operating system. So assuming that we all have things working within us and around us to influence how we see and interpret the world, I want to talk today about how proclaiming, believing, and engaging with Christ is risen can change our algorithm. For the better, of course. But authentic and meaningful engagement is getting harder and harder these days. The average attention span of a user on social media platforms dropped from 12.1 seconds last year to 8.25 seconds this year. Now, you all, I know, are way above average because you hear me preach every week. And Lord have mercy, you will know the kingdom has come on earth as it is in heaven when I preach an 8.25 second sermon. But this 8.25 second attention span, they say, is shorter than the attention span of a goldfish, which is supposed to make us feel bad, but the only goldfish I ever see are in these little bowls in one location, usually lonely in somebody's house with not a whole lot to look at. So I'd like to cut us some slack on that one. We have a lot more information flying at us than goldfish do. The news that flies at us every day is heavy and huge with consequences that will far outlast our lifetimes. And with all these headlines vying for our attention and each news outlet telling us the story in a different way, who can blame us for not knowing where to put our focus and how long to keep it there? Part of the strategy of oppressive systems is to keep us distracted so that we don't linger too long on any one thing to actually start to do something about it. So instead, we look here, there, and everywhere, and yet still do not see what we need to see, the truth of God's love and how it transforms everything we think to be an ending into a beginning. There's a reason our theme this Lenten season has been, Tell Me Something Good. It's because we desperately need good news today. We need Easter morning to be good news, and not just a one-time warm and fuzzy feel-good story that drops in our feed today and hops away like the Easter bunny tomorrow. We need the kind of good news that is lasting and lingering, the kind of good news that actually interrupts our life and changes it, the kind of good news that makes us click like, subscribe, and share, the kind of good news that overturns the way the world works, that turns what we thought was the inevitable into the incredible. We need sticky good news, don't we? News that forever alters our algorithm. Well, dare I say that Matthew gives us this kind of good news today. Of all the Easter accounts, Matthew's is perhaps the only one that can hold its weight against the flashy, dramatic, fast-paced news headlines of our day. Matthew is the only one that has a chance to grab our attention and attempt to compete with everything else dazzling in front of our eyes. Matthew knows how to make the Easter story sticky. Not just for the people of his day, but for our day too. He is all flash, bang, blitz, glitz. He knows what will stop our minds from mindless scrolling, what will grab our attention. He knows how to work the algorithm, which means he knows how to work us. He would have made it as an influencer in 2026, probably gotten some brand deals and everything. I think his account is the only one that can compete with our culture's obsession with the best, the biggest, the brightest, the greatest. He is the only one that mentions this great earthquake. How did the others leave this out? An earthquake. He's the only one with an angel of the Lord descending from heaven, Captain Marvel style, with an appearance like lightning. I mean, other gospels have angels or men sitting in the tomb, but they're just sitting there calmly. Matthew is the only one who has this angel act like Superman, pulling a CrossFit tire flipping style move, rolling away a stone that most scholars think was 1.5 to 2 tons right away from the front of the tomb before the women's eyes. It's a live stunt. And then, like the cherry on top of this miraculous feat, this angel hops up on top of the stone as if to say, yep, I did that, angel of the Lord, a.k.a. WWE champion of the cosmos. And to add even more drama to this moment, Matthew's account is the only one that has this whole guard of soldiers around the tomb present when the women show up. And when all of this stuff settles down, all of these theatrics, Matthew says these soldiers, these strong, powerful military men who are to guard this body in this tomb with their life, who have a singular mission, they shake and become like dead men. They are paralyzed in fear. And Lord knows they have seen worse things. The night before, they saw a crucifixion. They have seen ears cut off. They have seen blood and gore, and this is the thing that makes them shake like dead men. You see, Matthew's account of Easter morning, Matthew's version of Christ is risen, is the only one with enough oomph, enough bells and whistles, enough triumph and might to cut through the cacophony of noise and narcissism and militarism and consumerism and egoism in our world to have a chance at shaking us into attention to change our collective algorithm. To change not just how long we linger at the empty tomb on resurrection morning, but how we begin to anticipate resurrection in our everyday lives. Because you see, algorithms respond to our behaviors and our patterns, and if we want to change the algorithm of our life, the predictable patterns and ways that we live and move in the world, the stories and experiences of pain and suffering that dominate our worries and our anxieties, the normalized ways that we accept injustice or that we become numb and overwhelmed, if we want to even change how we think about the tragedies and sufferings and deep hurts in our own lives, then we have to change how we engage with Easter morning. This one and done thing once a year is not working well for us, is it? We only change our algorithm with Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Over and over and over and over again. No other proclamation or power or truth can top this. Nothing can overcome suffering and pain and grief and difficulty in our lives like this. And whether you believe it to be true or not, you have to say it like you believe it for it to start even to have a chance to sink in. No shade to the other gospel writers, because I love the mystery and unresolved tension of Mark's story. I love the therapeutic spiritual direction approach of Luke's story, and I love how John gives us an Act 1 and an Act 2. But were Easter morning to have happened today and be shared on social media, we might as well, all of us, scrolled past Mark's account, if it even showed up in our feed at all. It's just a bunch of women walking to a tomb quietly, talking to someone quietly in the tomb, and then walking away, mute. Luke's account has some theatrics, but it's 3 or 4 verses in, way too late for the average scroller. We would have missed it by then. We would have probably seen the women walking to the tomb with their spices and thought it was just an ad for the latest, greatest burial preparation product on the market. And John's post would have had a lot of racing around at the beginning. So we would have lingered there, wanting to see who made it to the tomb first. But the minute there was this woman standing with a gardener outside watering the flowers, we'd probably scroll by, especially if it was on mute and we couldn't hear the gardener say, Mary. The truth is, if our world needs one gospel in 2026 to change things, it is Matthew's. The resurrection in Matthew's account has just enough flair for us to stop and linger and stay a while and see what it's all about. And it meets the conspiracy of the moment with undeniable, unquestionable truth. You heard me right, the conspiracy of the moment. The Bible never fails to be relevant. Go home this afternoon and read all the verses before and after the one that we read today, but you'll see that the religious leaders of the day, the chief priests and the Pharisees, are in Pilate's office quite a bit, quite worried about this resurrection, trying to figure out how to cover it up, pay it off, make it not happen. So they essentially bribe the soldiers, give them a lot of money, and say, if anybody asks you what happened to Jesus' body, tell them you fell asleep on the job. You're so sorry. You were just so tired. And we'll give you this money to just keep telling that story to people. And don't worry, if the governor asks us about it, we'll lie to him for you. We'll cover for you. My, we know about conspiracies and corruption, don't we, today? Payoffs and bribes, fake news and fear-filled leaders. We know how truth as powerful and illogical and uncontrollable as a love that rises up and walks around out in the open with wounds on display, can shake somebody in power into fear, can leave them scrambling, can turn their hearts into hubris. It seems to me that in this environment, then or now, where conspiracies and lies are confused for truth, the only way that the good news can truly turn over the world order is for it to come in with a huge show. There's no mystery in Matthew's account about what happens. Nothing about it is subtle, because nothing about the brokenness of Matthew's world or our world is subtle. Sometimes we need something huge to shake us up Wake us up. Stop our mindless scrolling and get us engaged. Sometimes we need to be reminded that the resurrection is not evolutionary, as my mentor says, it's revolutionary. That means this is a upside-down, world-turning event. It's not something that happens gradually. The resurrection is not just an encouraging sign of hope that moves us one step closer to a healed and peaceful world. The resurrection is the embodiment of that healed and peaceful world walking around in the flesh. The resurrection is even not just one more win in a line of social justice protests or civil rights actions that help bend the arc of the universe a little bit more toward justice. The resurrection is actually the justice that the arc is bending toward. Do you see the difference? The stone is rolled away. These certainties that we claim have to be true, like death always leads to the end, are upturned. Because if the grave cannot be trusted to hold the dead, what else might be in danger of being changed or overturned? That's what the people in power are afraid of. If this is true, what else could be true? If the crucified and marginalized man can rise to life again, what other crucified and marginalized peoples are rising up even now? Yes, resurrection is destabilizing in our world, and that's the point. It changes the world, and that's what gives it the opportunity to change us. But only if we let it. Will we let Christ is risen change our algorithm? The choice is ours. We're all going to wake up in the morning and we can scroll past this story and dismiss it, or we can hover on it, linger on it, like it, share it, subscribe it, repost it, ask questions of it, dialogue with others about it, even doubt it. As long as we are engaging with it, we are letting the resurrection engage us. And it will change our beliefs and our behaviors. It will help us finally see that hope is real, that life does have the last and lasting word over death. I wonder if we will engage with the resurrection in such a way that we don't just experience its truth today, but that it changes the experiences of our tomorrows. Because the really good news tucked away in this text, the last gem for us today, is that in the midst of this showy display of resurrection, there is this quiet yet powerful detail tucked into Matthew's story. The women who walk to the tomb on Easter morning are empty-handed. Did you notice that? Unlike other accounts, these women do not carry spices to the tomb to anoint the body of Jesus. They come empty-handed. Could it be that Mary Magdalene and the other Mary walked toward the tomb on Easter morning anticipating resurrection, expecting resurrection? Could it be that they had lingered long enough with Jesus while he was alive and truly heard and understood his words, that when all the other disciples didn't understand what he meant when he said he was going to be crucified and rise on the third day, that they actually did? They believed it to be true? Could it be that while the others doubted, dismissed, misunderstood, and mistook Jesus, that these two women actually heard and understood? And because they had lingered long enough with Jesus, Jesus had already begun to change their algorithm, their way of seeing in the world, so much so that they came on Easter morning not expecting to see a dead body, but an empty tomb. And could it be that because they came anticipating resurrection, that maybe that's why they got to see the stone rolled away in person? Have you thought about that? In the other stories, the women come to the tomb expecting death, and they find an already empty tomb. But I wonder if maybe when we anticipate resurrection, it helps us move through our grief a little bit differently or walk to the tomb in a different way. Not that we dismiss the grief, but that we carry it differently so that we're able to see something that maybe other people miss. Not because it didn't happen, not because it wasn't meant for them, but because when the feed of your life is only showing you death, what would you ever expect to find in a tomb but a dead body? And why would you ever rise early to go to a tomb to look at a dead body? In Matthew's story, the women come expecting resurrection, and they see the reality of it right before their eyes. And the best part is that the angel says, "You ain't seen nothing yet. Go to Galilee. Go to your hometown, to your homies, where you live your life day in and day out. Go to the everyday moments and hours of your life." Because remember, Galilee is where all of Jesus' ministry took place. Go to the ordinary, everyday places of your life, and that is where you will see the risen Christ. And they do. And they are seen by him, and they are changed, and they keep the post going by proclaiming that Christ is risen. They tell the others. Friends, here is the good news. The resurrection, it's not going to change all the bad stuff happening in our lives. Just like if all you watch on TikTok is puppy videos, you're just going to see more and more puppy videos. I mean, that's great. I love the puppy videos. But that doesn't mean that bombs aren't dropping and wars aren't raging and stuff isn't happening all around you. Just because the resurrection changes the algorithm of your life, it doesn't change your pain or your suffering, but it contextualizes it. It puts it in a grander narrative. It reminds you that Christ is risen, that there is this mystery at the end, that love wins and hope prevails. I had to sit with this tension this week, knowing I was standing up here to preach an Easter sermon about resurrection as I sat with two of our beloved members who were dying. Spent a lot of hours in ICUs this week. It is always tender to sit in front of death. But as I sat in front of death, I held the truth of the resurrection before me, and more, it allowed me and those around us, the family members, to release and relax into the truth and hope of a God who does not let death be the end of the story. Resurrection doesn't happen apart from death, right? It only happens when there is death. They're inseparable. Easter does not ask us to do anything ourselves to change the reality of the world. Easter simply asks us to hover and linger long enough on this story, long enough on the tomb, that we start to subscribe to it and we start to share its truth, that Easter has already changed the world. It's already changed the world. Will it change us? Will Christ is risen change our algorithm? When it does, what the world sees will change too. Amen.